welcome to another episode of the Game Informer Show. This is, of course, the show where we inform you about games. Sometimes we inform ourselves. I'm always informed. My name is Ben Reeves. I'm your host. Joined today by Alex Stadnick.
Hello, friends.
How's it going, Alex?
I am so
Brian
good.
Shea. Oh, yeah, great.
Hey, Shay.
How's it going, Brian?
Not falling for it.
All right, and Jeff Cork.
Oh,
Welcome, guys. How's it going?
again?
Yeah.
Still-
I want to
still
know
good.
collectively how's it going.
People
we all
are loving
agree
it.
on good?
We're all just one hive mind anyway.
Exactly.
We have a great show for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about Sony and Oculus, games we've been playing. Later on in the show, we have a couple of new hires here at Game Informer. So we're going to be talking to them, Jay Guisao and Leanna Rupert. So stay tuned. They are fun people. Just trust us. I think you'll like them when you get to know them. I'm not just saying that.
I agree.
But kick it off. Why don't we do our playlist, which is the section of the show where we talk about the games we're playing. Alex, what have you been playing?
Something that Mr. Shea has also been playing. I've been doing a lot of video capture on Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the compilation that's coming out tomorrow of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and then Super Mario Galaxy. And it is. Let's unpack it, shall we,
Well-
Mr. Shea?
Yeah,
I have it
the best way
pre-ordered. Should I be disappointed?
Yeah.
The best way to describe it is it's a collection of 3 classic games,
Uh-huh.
but the updates are very, very minimal. It's a very bare bones
Mhm.
like celebration. Like you get the soundtracks for the games that you can listen to while you are on that screen, or if you put it into like listening mode, you can turn off your Switch screen so you can save
Yeah.
battery if you want to look like a goober walking around with a Switch in your hand.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it's higher resolution textures. Like I think they go up to 1080p now instead of 480, which is good. Like Galaxy looks great in that, but and you can use the touchpad if you're playing in handheld mode to do some of the motion control stuff in Galaxy, which is nice, I guess. But
It works okay. It is
you can take your hand off the controller and
Yeah.
everything. It's not the best way. Like the Pro controller and the Joy-Cons work much better if you're playing like in TV mode.
unequivocally.
For Galaxy. But other than that, it's fine. It's 3 great games that are still very fun. But if you're expecting something along the lines of what we talked about last time I was on the show, I think, which was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Don't like frills though. You're in luck.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
really like a no frills retro experience, you
Yeah.
are in luck.
Absolutely.
And I think
The
what's
games, though, you mentioned that the games are like some of the best games ever made, maybe, but some of them are pretty dated. So, like Mario 64, does that still hold up?
especially when you compare it against Galaxy, it's kind of hard. And we talked about it. Jeff pointed out in the NGT that we did for it. It's like there's so many Mario games that have done what these games have done better, where it's like it's unquestionably like Mario 64 is a landmark moment in games. But like that and Sunshine, there's so many times where I did jumps where like you hit the lip of a platform and you hit it, but then it like kicks you off anyways. There's so many moments like that where it's like like it, especially when like you just get off a Galaxy. It's like I love that these are here, but this is not as clean as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a good way to put it. Is like you're very happy it's there, and like it's awesome having a portable and modern version. Like by modern version, I mean available on a modern console of these games. Like I love being able to just turn on my Switch and play Mario 64, or like if I wanted to go sit outside my coffee shop and play Mario 64, I have that option now, and not having to dust off my 3DS to play the DS version. Or same thing for Galaxy. Like it's awesome to be able to play that on the go when I actually will have a place to go. But it just isn't very much. Like I'm going to be playing these games probably. I'll probably play through all of them at some point on my Switch. It's just not the collection that I was really hoping for.
Yeah, it is a bummer. Also, like people like to dunk on Super Mario Sunshine. And I haven't played that game since it first came out, so I was kind of curious to go back to that and see if there's something I'm missing, because I remember liking that game.
I would say those controls have aged the poorest out of this collection. Like 64 visually has aged the poorest, but Sunshine, like just the shooting controls, like this, they feel so dated by comparison to like nearly every other shooter that has come after it. Like I wish they would have done some sort of update so you can like use a dual stick configuration. I feel like that's almost essential for any game that uses shooting nowadays. But no, you just have to kind of hold the button on the shoulder, and that's how you aim, basically, or strat or strafe.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that is a bummer. Yeah. I was just excited to play Mario Galaxy again, and I think that's really all I want. So if all I really
yeah,
want is a third of this package, I don't know if it's a great deal, especially because what I really want is to play Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 again, but Mario Galaxy 2 isn't in this.
no, it's not. And that's the weirdest exclusion. Also, is that like they could have done way more for the games that are included, but then they couldn't even do the bare minimum for what many people consider the best 3D Mario game. And that bare minimum is including it in this collection, which it's such a weird absence, especially since we're getting an expanded edition of another really well liked 3D Mario game in Super Mario 3D World, which a lot of people missed out on because it was on the Wii U. But we're getting that with online multiplayer, and we're getting that with a new area, I guess, called Bowser's Fury, or a new story section called Bowser's Fury. Maybe if they do something like that, it'll kind of redeem the fact that they left that off of the collection. But like, I'm not so sure like what their plans are for that game. Like, it seems like there's enough demand that they'd want to do something with it, but it's so weird that they didn't.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Maybe it'll be a collector's item someday. Maybe I'll be happy I pre-ordered this eventually.
Well, it is going to be discontinued on March 31st,
That's the
so
thing. Yeah, it's going to
get
be
it while it's
rare at that
hot.
point, right? Yeah. Or maybe they still made like 6 million copies and they'll just, we still got them if you want them.
The
Turns out we
Disney
didn't sell them
Vault.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what Super Mario 3D All Stars. Brian, you've
Yeah.
been playing anything else?
So that was one of the big things I was playing. But the other one I was playing, I mean, there's the one I've been playing for fun has been Avengers, which I just finished the story last night. I really enjoyed it. I'm intrigued by what the post game will bring. I don't know how much I'm going to like that, because I think what I liked most about Marvel's Avengers was so much wrapped around like the story and like
Mm.
seeing how like this conflict plays out. So I'm most excited about like when Hawkeye gets introduced and we get like a new story section. But until then, I'm going to start diving into the post game and seeing how like grindy it is, which I'm hearing it is pretty grindy. Uh, but I think we've talked about that game enough. So I've been playing Spelunky 2. I reviewed that for us.
Wow.
Follow up to the beloved indie title, one of the quintessential roguelikes. Um, and it's an amazing game. I think it perfectly carries the energy of the first game, which is just chaos personified in a video game. And it's like anything can happen. Like things can explode. Like you set off chain reactions left and right, and almost everything is just waiting to kill you in this game. And your entire mission is to dig deeper than you were before, and it's so much fun. It scratches so many itches of like you know retro platformers, retro action games, while also delivering new twists like the roguelike formula, and interesting interactions with like shopkeepers to get new items and weapons. And it's a really great game. They did a great job of building on the formula instead of kind of reinventing the wheel of what worked so well with the first one. So if you really like that first one, I think this is the perfect follow up for what you would probably hope for.
And it's got multiplayer.
Well, yeah, it does. It has online multiplayer this time around. Unfortunately, I didn't get to test that. You could do local multiplayer in the first one, but this one has online multiplayer that
And this
is
one
live
doesn't
on.
have online or local multiplayer anymore?
It does. It has both.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Great.
and there's also diverging paths, which is kind of cool. Like when you get to the end of a world, like the first world, you get to the end of it, and it's like, all right, you can go to this way, which will bring you to a forest, and then this way that'll bring you to like a volcanic workshop, almost like with like lava pits and everything. So it's kind of cool that like I was having a really hard time with the forest or the jungle for a while, so I ended up going the lava pit route, and it was actually it played more into my style, so I was able to make a bit more progress that way. So it's pretty cool that you can do that. And then there's boss battles, and now you can get mounts. Like, so there's a turkey, there's like a fire breathing dog, there's a lizard that spits out bubbles, and they give you an extra hit point too, unless you just flat out fall onto a spike or something. But yeah, really enjoying it. My reviews on GameInformer.com gave it a 9 out of 10. And Jeff Cork is wincing
Solid.
in pain.
Yeah, just
He
yawning.
hates
Sorry.
He hates the number 9.
Hate it.
The worst.
I feel like I ask this question all the time on the show, but if you're not a roguelike guy or gal, is this going to do it for you?
I'm not really a roguelike fan, to be honest, but I really love that first Spelunky game. Like, that was my go-to game on Vita. Like, when I picked up my Vita and I didn't have any idea what I was going to play, it was usually either Spelunky or Final Fantasy X, because I play that game all the time anyway. And it was, I love that game, and I get frustrated by some of the roguelike elements, like losing progress on something that seems like it was kind of out of my control, like just a random bad roll of the dice, basically. But I don't get too bothered by it because I love the gameplay so much, and I love the just kind of the world. Like, I like digging deeper into these caves and seeing what other zany stuff presents itself. So I am with you. I'm not a big roguelike fan, but I adore this series, I guess you can call it now.
Yeah, it's interesting this came out so close after Rogue Legacy 2, because I feel like both of those first games were such a big deal in the roguelike space, and now these are both out, and we'll see if they make as big an impact. I feel like people have already forgotten about Rogue Legacy.
Well, Rogue Legacy 2 is in early access still, right?
Yeah, you're technically right, but I mean, people can play it now.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, it has plenty of time to make a difference, is what you're saying.
Correct.
You're correct. Jeff Cork, you want to make a difference?
Make a difference.
Yeah.
Still playing Bloodborne. That's like what I've been up to these days. Which, not that exciting. Having an okay time. I still
You sound like you're having a blast.
Yeah, I still don't. I when people say this is my favorite game of all time, I'm still thinking, okay, sure. Maybe I just have not hit that moment yet where it's it'll all come into focus.
You're pretty far in, I think, aren't you?
He's at the final boss.
I'm at the final boss. Yeah. No, I killed spoiler for Bloodborne. I killed a lady who had some kind of locket, and then she turned into this fringy vicar monster.
Wait, so the boss transformed?
The lady turned into a big nasty thing.
You making this up?
She's dead. Don't worry.
Oh, thank God.
You did it.
We did it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
For Bloodborne, for me, I've never been a fan of From Software games, but that was like the closest I came to having one stick for me.
Yeah.
And I was loving it. I even wrote an opinion piece on it about like how much I was enjoying it. And then I beat Father Gascoigne, and like everybody's like, oh, well, that's when it really starts picking up, and that's when like you really start like feeling like you're enjoying the game. I beat him, and I was like, oh, that was a lot of fun, and I never played the game again.
Yeah.
I mean, Father Gascoigne is pretty early, isn't he?
It's like the second or third boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think wrote an opinion that early.
Yeah. I mean, I was like 20 hours in at that point.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
I didn't like the direction it was going with there was some forest with some snakes jumping up at me. I was like, no, thanks. That's fine.
Well, good luck finishing it, Cork. I'm interested to see what you think. Are you like so far in that you are interested in the story? Are like you reading item descriptions and trying to figure out what's going on in this world?
I haven't sat down and read all the item descriptions, but I am listening to all the lore, and it's one of those things that I know that even after I read it, I will I don't think I'm engaging with it on the level where I'm catching everything. So I'll probably just watch some YouTube video that explains everything and contextualizes it, because honestly, I just don't have the mental energy right now to focus on deciphering a story that isn't just told to me. I'm very lazy in that way, and I feel like I'm giving it enough of my attention otherwise. But
I agree. It's such a weird way people love it, and more power to them. But after I beat that game, I went and watched some like YouTubes, like you're saying, and I read some wikis, and I was like, this sounds like a cool story.
But it should make a game based on this.
It felt like I was reading about some other game. I honestly did. I was like, this doesn't feel like the game I just played, but
yeah.
All right. I guess that's what happened.
Yeah.
You could have fooled me. And maybe they did.
Maybe they did.
I don't know what was in that wiki.
Shay, you're playing the Avengers. And I know we talked about Avengers probably too much. There's one moment that I can't stop thinking about, and it's probably the moment that I will never forget from that game. And it's when Kamala Khan is getting bullied at the comic convention at the Avengers Day, the A-Day meet and greet, and she quotes Captain America, and it's the most awkward, cringe moment that's supposed to be like a really empowering moment. But if you saw anything like that in a movie, it would just be like, get me away from this absolute weirdo, awful. And it's amazing that it made it in the game, that no one was like, you know what, guys, your hearts were in the right place. And this was supposed to be a really cool character defining moment, but you're making Kamala Khan seem like an unlikable weirdo in this one moment. And I can't stop thinking about it. Everything about it is just awful. It's it's awful.
It's such a weird thing because I think so much of the story was well done.
Yeah.
And that moment did stick out to me too. Like, if this ever happened in real life, it would just be more banter and more like ammunition for the bullies.
Yeah, it was just like a total like TV movie bully moment too, and they're just like, let's go kick rocks. Yeah, she showed us. Like, so strange. So, what a weird choice. I would be fascinated. I would love to talk to the people responsible for that, just being like, what happened here? I'm fascinated by it.
I would love to have been in that writer's room, because I do think that the story got better the further into the game you get. But then also there's a point, try not to spoil anything, but like there's a point too where it's just like, oh, the game's over now. Like it's just like they had a few more things planned and they're just like, we gotta scope down. We gotta just finish this story.
Yeah.
So it's a weird roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Avengers. I have also finished that this last week.
The last mission kind of does sneak up on you, and then you're like, oh, that's it? Okay.
I say no.
And even though I was like, oh, I kind of wish there was more story, I don't really feel compelled to go and play like those missions over and over again and grind and level up my characters. I just don't have any desire to do that. I don't know. I'll check back in when Hawkeye shows up.
Yeah, especially with what's coming out. It's like I don't got time for this.
I'm excited for new characters though. Like that was always the coolest part of that story was, oh, now I have Thor and learning how to play him.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm curious to see what they do with the new characters. If when they roll them out, is it going to be much of a story, or are you just going to be? Is it going to be a little bit of dialogue over the top when you're replaying the same missions over and over?
They said it's going to be story arc. Like there's a new story arc with every character that comes out.
But you can call it a story even if they're just like, how involved and how cinematic is that storytelling? Like, is it going to be a good story?
Pretty involved, but I mean, I don't know. I would imagine it's going to be like a new mission chain or something.
I guess I'll believe it when I see it.
They're going to say like
every character has a mission chain. Like you can do the Hulk mission chain or the Thor mission chain, and that's how you get like new costumes and stuff like that. I think that's what they're probably going to end up doing, and that's
right. And
backstory about them.
In my mind, those story missions were kind of weak, personally.
As long as they did.
Anyway,
yeah, we'll move on. Never mind.
That was our second Avengers discussion of the podcast, which is kind of funny. But aside from that, my playlist perfectly segues into our next topic, because I've been messing around with the Oculus Quest 2 quite a bit, which they just showed off, officially announced yesterday at a Facebook Connect. They debuted the Oculus Quest 2, which I've been messing around with it. And honestly, I'm more excited now about VR than I've been in a long time. Like, I think it looks really cool. It's, did you guys watch any of the show, or?
I know nothing about it, so I just have one question.
Okay. One question, I'll allow it.
Can you play Half-Life Alyx on it?
You can, with a caveat. You can play it if you have that link cable. Remember the link cable where you'd connect the Quest to your computer?
That's what I love most about the Quest format, is connecting a cable to it. That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Oh, it's so good. I love connecting cables to things. Yeah. That's why I love the Quest. That's why I'm excited about VR now.
I want to be tethered.
So on a high level, just so you guys are aware, it's better. It's got faster processor. When are they going to release systems with slower processors? That's what I want to know.
About time.
Never going to happen. They're using, if you guys want the nitty gritty, they're using a Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 platform chipset. If you know what that means, it's basically a really powerful chipset. The resolution on the panels is way better. It's like 50% better than the last one. So it's like 1800 by 1920. So it's not like 4K quite, but it's like 2K, I guess, almost. But it looks good. Like I've been using it. It looks really good. And I've been getting about 2 hours of battery life out of it, which is pretty comparable to the last one. And I like it. The weird thing is there's not like a lot of new games out for it that make exclusive use of the new processor. So it's all stuff. It's like old games like Beat Saber and Moss and I don't know what you guys have played, like Pistol Whip. Like there's some great games out
Super
there
Hot.
for the Quest, and they look even Super Hot's another great one. They all look better than ever. So if you have not jumped into VR yet, this might be the time to do it because it's $100 cheaper now. It's going to be $300, which is great for
It's
the.
cheaper than either next gen console. I guess it's the same as Xbox Series S, but
It's $299 for a 64 gigabit model, and then $399 for a 256 model. Comes out October 13th.
Have you, in your experience with it, have you found you needed the upgraded model, or are you content with 64 gig? Or are you using the updated model?
I've been using the updated model,
Okay.
but 64 gigs is pretty good for.
I don't know. I've learned my lesson in recent tech purchases and just go for the higher hard drive. Like when the Switch came out, I bought like the biggest micro SD that I could get, and I bought like a 16 gigabyte iPad and learned very quickly that I could fit like 2 movies on it when I went and traveled. So I ended up getting a new iPad just because I wanted a bigger hard drive. So I think that if I was going to get this, I would totally go for the upgraded hard drive, lest you regret it
That's
later.
not a bad idea.
For sure.
You mentioned Half-Life Alyx, Cork, and I'm kind of excited to play through that again because I know it'll look better this time with the headset I have. So I'm kind of thinking I might do that soon.
Yeah.
We'll see. The one other game I have played on the new headset is a game called Population 1, which is this battle royale game for VR, which is pretty cool. And it's battle royale, but it's like 3 teams of 6, so it's not like a giant population, but the concept's still the same, where you jump into a city and you have guns and the circle shrinks. So it's fun. I'm not super impressive. They're fine for VR. They're fine for a Quest game. But yeah, it's I mean, they're
I've seen a couple of
not
battle
quite
royale
as
games
good
in
as
VR.
Fortnite.
Yeah, I've seen a couple battle royale games in VR, and they look like PS1 games basically. So that's why I ask.
I mean, it's definitely not that bad, but the cool thing about it is I had fun with it actually, and I'm not like a battle royale guy, but you can climb any building, kind of like Spider-Man. You just reach out and you grab buildings, you can climb up them. And then when you get to the top, you can fly. You're more like glide. You put your arms out and you can glide around the city. So the navigation in there is really cool.
I have a question for you.
Kind of worth checking out if you're into battle royale and you have a VR headset.
Reeves, you said you're not a VR battle royale guy, and Shay said he's not a rogue guy. We should have a segment someday in the future where we talk about what kind of guys we are.
Not a guy.
What kind of guy are you? I think it'd be helpful.
Yeah.
We spend so much time pigeonholing what we aren't. Let's take a moment and share what we are. I think that there could be some real empowerment there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that idea. That brings us to our next segment of the podcast. Sony guys.
I'm a Sony guy.
Yay. We're all Sony guys, I believe. Sony also had a big event yesterday, a big showcase yesterday, where I think we can just kind of run down what they showed off and talk about it. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
I would just going to go in order.
Right, Alex, because you did the live stream and then you did a recap afterwards. So you better have like pinpoint precision, laser focused thoughts on everything or
Locked
else.
and loaded. Let's go. Let's
all
get
your
it.
best jokes. You should just steal Joe's jokes from the recap and then use them here.
I'll message him on Slack real quick.
So that I felt like Sony came out swinging pretty hard. Like their first couple of games were like really solid. The first game in particular, it was pretty clear that it was a Final Fantasy game right off the bat because you could see the Final Fantasy monsters and then there was like some Marlboros or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And I ignorantly thought it was like an online game, like it was an expansion for the online game for some reason coming to PlayStation. But no, it's like a new Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 16.
Mhm.
And the big kicker is that it's exclusive to PlayStation 5, which I think is just crazy.
And
Console.
Big get.
It's coming to PC.
yeah, at the bottom it said PC.
To be clear. But
mean,
let's be honest, who cares?
Yeah, Dan taxed on this show. We don't need to pretend like we care about PC.
I totally thought it was like a new expansion or like a enhanced edition of Final Fantasy 14, just because I've played so little of that game that I was like, oh yeah, this could be a multiplayer game, I guess.
Yeah.
I was very pleasantly surprised that it was Final Fantasy 16 because I'm really excited to see where that franchise goes next. Like I think one of the biggest fans of 15 in the office. So yeah, I'm all for it. Yoshida, who is the guy who did Final Fantasy 14, is producing this. So I'm excited for that to see like how he makes the transition to a mainline single player Final Fantasy game from, having huge success on 14.
Protagonist's
It
name
looks
is
really cool.
Joshua, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Very heroic.
From Noctis Joshua.
What up, Jay?
Josh.
Day?
So glad to see you here, Josh.
Most characters call him Josh, or is he always going to go by Joshua?
Joshua, yeah.
His best friend's gonna be named Keith. And Craig's gonna be with him. It's gonna be great.
Someone is gonna say as they're dying, Josh, and it's gonna be really. Come on,
I can't believe they started with that though. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah, now I mean, looking back at it now, it makes sense for what they continued to show, but that was just a rumor or yesterday morning, and Joe said it well on the show. He was like, "That's one word. Yeah, we could have easily not seen that. That would have been just like a rumor because everyone knows it's eventually coming. But to start that off, to kind of do the antithesis of what they did with like the Rockstar logo at the first showing that they had, where everyone's like GTA 6, and then it was like nope, GTA 5, and then to do it like Square Enix and then do Final Fantasy 16, like from that moment I was like, oh, you have me 100%. Like where is this going next?
I think that's why, because the last showcase had that, like, not that I don't like GTA, but it just kind of felt like a lame way to open the showcase. Like, here's GTA again. So I think I was just expecting something very similar with this. That's why I assumed it was like the mobile game.
I was hoping for Rockstar.
But yeah, it's cool. It looks really cool though. Like this new Final Fantasy game, it's like more medieval themed. So I like that they're kind of harkening back to that.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really good.
Yeah,
So
but
the
it's
next
running on
game-
PC hardware, as they put on the screen, which
That's true.
kind of a bummer. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Come on. PCs aren't as powerful as a PlayStation 5.
Get out of
You
here.
can't trick us. They've been around so much longer. They can't be as powerful.
Very interesting take.
Yeah. The next game that Sony showed off was Spider-Man Miles Morales, which we've seen a couple times now, but we got a good glimpse at gameplay this time. Some cool action fight scene on a bridge. What'd you guys think of that?
I liked it when Miles Morales said, "I've got an idea," when the bridge is collapsing, and you'll never believe it, but the idea was to use his webs to pull the bridge together. It's like, I understand that Miles Morales is not Spider-Man. Spider-Man has had that idea independently in every incarnation. It's great that great minds think alike. It's like, wait a second, I could use my webs here. Like, bravo, the mantle has been passed. Well done.
He's just full of good ideas. He's like, I got an
Exactly.
idea. I'll punch that guy.
I'm going to use my spider senses. All right, cool. I mean, it's great. It works. Very
I
effective.
can't turn him off.
Yeah.
But jokes aside, and these
Yeah.
are very funny jokes,
Thank
I think that game looks great. It
Yeah,
looks
it looks
a lot of
terrific.
fun, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, it is
The weird
interesting.
thing-
I was watching it with my son, and he was like, the combat doesn't feel right while you're just watching it because you're not getting the rumble. And that was his observation. I was kind of like, yeah, it doesn't feel like there's really any impact to what's happening on screen because I think that I'm just so accustomed to those kind of moments, just feeling the impact in my hand.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Star Fox
that's interesting.
64 really changed everything.
What's that?
Star Fox 64 really changed everything with that
It
rumble.
really did. It did.
I guess
It'll never be the same.
No, definitely not. On the combat level, I was fully expecting this to be Spider-Man PS4 with a Miles story, and I think there'll still be aspects of that, but I'm really curious to see. I wasn't expecting how much like the electricity and the invisibility were gonna play a part in this, and just how fluid that looked, in especially coming off Avengers. I was like, oh, give it to me. Like, this looks so fluid and so nice, and the animations look, when he like bounced off the car and then flipped back into rhythm, I was like, oh yeah, this is, I cannot wait for this now. That brought my hype levels up for sure.
Well, some of the camera work during the fight scenes looked really dynamic as well, where the camera would spin around while you were doing a move. And it's clear that it's not like a cutscene, like you're still in combat, but the camera's moving around. Like it's really cool. I can't wait to play that game. And they announced that I believe they officially announced that it's coming to PS4 as well. Not during the stream, but in a separate little blog post, which is sneaky, guys.
Yeah.
Did a lot of that after this stream.
Yeah, it'll be like a standalone thing, and also you can get the like enhanced edition of Spider-Man as well, kind of as a bundle. Yeah,
of the 2018 one. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So yeah, that was cool. Like back to back, and then the third game they showed also looked promising, with the caveat maybe. But there's a new Harry Potter game that they're making. It's a prequel game about Hogwarts called Hogwarts Legacy that's coming out in 2021. I think I saw that it's like set in the 1800s, which is kind of cool. Like I like that idea. Go back, way back before anything we know of so far.
Yeah, for sure.
What were your guys' impressions there?
I love Avalanche, and I'm happy that they're working on something like that. I just wish that they would have put a muzzle on J.K. Rowling's Twitter account. It has completely nuked any like positive thoughts I had for that franchise and universe. It's a real bummer overall.
See, I never really had any affection for the franchise anyway, so I just like, oh, that's a game that looks like it could be fun. I don't know. Yeah. Sure.
Well, that's why I'm hopeful, because it's like a prequel and it's set so far back that it's so distant from the stuff you're already familiar with J.K. Rowling, where maybe they can kind of separate themselves from that a bit. We didn't see too much gameplay, or I don't know how the gameplay works. It seemed like possibly there was some multiplayer component, or maybe I was just reading into that too much, but it looked cool. Like visually, it looked good, and I would explore that world again.
Definitely, that set piece with the Griffins was really cool, and I think that just kind of fed into the theme of the day for Sony. On, we don't know anything about that game past what they showed us, but like like Sony harnessed in this stream what I think was missing from a lot of the other digital events, where it's like we got surprises and looks at things that I wasn't expecting. I in no way, shape, or form did I think the Harry Potter game was going to be here today. And I think that just continued to build and made this conference something really, really fun.
Yeah, and I wonder how many of these, I mean, we're in September now. I wonder how many of these would have been revealed at E3, because like you're saying, like this is totally like the first stream that gave us a bunch of surprises, like Final Fantasy, like Harry Potter, and a few others that we're going to talk about here in a bit. But like it seems like this was like all the stuff that everybody was waiting for E3 for, and then they waited 3 more months on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have this restriction. We can just go whenever.
It felt like the news from Microsoft finally dropped of like price, and then Sony was like, "All right, let's go."
Took the gloves off.
Unleash the hounds.
Microsoft said this was supposed to happen this week. There news about like the price and release date, but then it leaked, so they just fired it anyway. So yeah, I guess that was really like the snowball that caused the avalanche.
Yeah, I really wonder what Microsoft's event would have looked like. I wonder if it would have been this game heavy. I don't know. I don't think they would have had as many exclusives, but I would love for Microsoft to have some. I'd love to have a reason to buy an Xbox. But anyway, PlayStation, since we're all Sony guys right now, the next game they showed off was Call of Duty Black Ops, the new game. They had Raven take the stage, which was kind of interesting, because I believe Treyarch's kind of leading the charge on this, or is that a fuzzier distinction this time around? Is it kind of Raven and Treyarch and nobody's in charge? Does anybody know?
Treyarch is probably multiplayer more. I could be completely wrong, though. I can never keep track of any of that anymore.
It seems like it's, unless it's Infinity Ward, it seems like it's becoming more and more of a collaborative effort between the Ravens and Treyarchs. I figured they would be more focused on like zombies or multiplayer, but who knows?
But what they showed looked cool. Is a piece of the gameplay campaign. You're chasing after a plane, a lot of spectacle, a lot of things blowing up. very graphic. I was kind of surprised, like almost too graphic, maybe. I don't know. It made me a little squeamish, which I was surprised by. But the game looks good.
Yeah, if you're into COD and excited for it, I think that trailer would probably keep hyping it up. And then they announced that the alpha is going to be available for PS4 players tomorrow, the 18th, which is exciting for people looking to get into that game. The beta is coming later for PC and Xbox players and PS4 players, but nice little cherry on the top for people excited about that game. So
cool. And then there's a bunch of games here that I'm just going to quick fire through. So let me know if you guys want to stop and talk about anything. They showed off a Resident Evil Village trailer. That's the eighth official entry in the Resident Evil series. Looks good. As a Resident Evil fan, I'm excited about that game. There was not a whole lot of new details to come out of that, other than I can't remember if this was announced before or not, but it's coming out in 2021. They showed Deathloop, which is Arcane's action shooter game where you're in a time loop thing. That game had previously gotten delayed because it was going to come out this year. Now it's not. Now it's coming out Q2 of 2021. I think that game still looks good.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, which I don't know if they announced it during the show or not, but it's apparently a launch game.
Yep.
That's coming out here soon. It has new characters, Devil May Cry 5. I wasn't really a Devil May Cry 5 fan, so I don't know if I'm super excited about this, but hopefully you're out there.
Only available digitally too, according to what they announced. So
that is weird, right?
I wonder if they just didn't have the production behind it, like the physical production behind it. I don't know. Maybe they're just seeing if there's interest in it. But yeah, I wonder if we're going to start getting more of those digital upgrades. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Also kind of a bummer. It doesn't seem like it's something that's a free upgrade for people who already own Devil May Cry 5, which has been kind of like the trend to this point. But yeah,
bummer.
It's unfortunate.
You couldn't get Devil May Cry to run on PS5. It's too hard, man.
Yeah.
Next game up was Oddworld Soulstorm, which Lauren Lanning said could not run on any other console, which was kind of, I was like, really? Like, it looks good, but it's not, like, it doesn't look mind-blowing. Like, there's nothing about that gameplay that I'm like, that can't run on anything else. But anyway, I like the Oddworld games. I'm looking forward to that one. Then they showed off Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I don't know much about this game, but a lot of people seem excited about it. Jeff Cork, you were saying more people are watching that trailer than
I had it open like
other?
on the official Sony YouTube channel. Actually, I probably can pull it up right now, and like these stats are obviously going to be woefully outdated by the time this comes out there. But like right now on the official PlayStation site, that has 442,000 views. The Five Nights at Freddy's trailer. In comparison, like Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales has 257,000. So like,
wow.
Yeah, it's by far the most viewed trailer that was shown there during the event, at least via YouTube.
Crazy for me.
Yeah, it's impossible to underestimate how popular that series is with its fan base. It's cuckoo bonkers. That's like first time it's been on console too, which is kind of huge.
Because
I feel like it's a big deal.
I feel like that game definitely, because I played that in college, like the first or second one, and that was fun. But I feel like the generation below me really like were the ones that were buying those games every time they came out. And I mean, I had some spooky fun with those games, but it seems like they're blowing this one out in a way. I guess I haven't kept up with the series, but it looks like it seems like it's a more active adventure this time.
Yeah. It's more than like Night Trap with Chuck E. Cheese characters, which would be cool. I've always been like fascinated with that universe and like all the lore. Like my youngest son will go on way too long if you ask him to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's because he's read all the books and
really
he's too spooky. He doesn't like to play the games though; they're too spooky. But he's really into the world. He watches all the Let's Plays and
I'm kind of with them. Like I haven't read the books. I shouldn't say that, but that game series, I don't really care for playing it. The few games that I've checked out, but there's something about that game and that series that I like. I like the vibe. I like the idea, but I just haven't like gotten into. So I don't know. Maybe this will unlock it for me.
Yeah,
Security Breach could be cool.
It's very cool.
Next up, Demon Souls, the Blue Point remake of Demon Souls is coming out as a launch title. Do I have that right?
Something that is also notable is that the PlayStation blog has that listed as a $70 game.
Nope.
Which seems
Yikes.
high.
Seems
For-
punitive. Like they're like, we're gonna give you your first death at the cash register. I don't know. Work in progress.
No, I like it. Yeah, that's definitely high for that game. I don't think I'll be buying that, but I mean, I'm sure Dan Tack will. He'll tell me all about it.
You'll buy 3 copies.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then
Did they say on the stream that it was a launch title? Because they didn't.
No.
I didn't think.
There's a lot of stuff that they did not say on the stream. Destruction All Stars, the Destruction Derby game, that's another $70 launch title.
That's insane. But Joe and I were like on stream. We're like, oh well, that's a ways out because they went to black. So I've seen a couple spots. Yeah, wow, that's.
And they
That's
also
crazy.
announced after the fact that Miles Morales is on PS4 as well. Plus, there's a Spider-Man remastered or like enhanced version. And then they also announced after the fact that Horizon Forbidden West is coming to PS4 as well.
another launch title, which is crazy. And I think everybody was like, what? This game's coming to PlayStation? Fortnite. Surprising. Yeah.
Can't
Didn't
wait to
see
play
it coming.
Fortnite
Yeah.
5
Oh,
PS5.
As our like resident Fortnite apologist, I will play it on PlayStation 5, and I
mean-
have fun.
it's a smart move. And yeah, it's like,
Yeah, they've already announced it.
not
They
an
just have not
announcement.
shown anything.
Yeah.
Was it announced for launch before?
I think they just said it was going to be coming to it. They didn't say when exactly,
Ah.
but
Okay.
Cork, was this my dumb boy eyes? But did it look better? Did it seem like it was? I mean, it was a vertical slice, but I thought graphics,
kind
it's a little
of
cleaner.
a little bit. It wasn't like a night and day. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Now it has
Yeah.
the graphics. Call of
Yeah,
Duty.
I dabbed my brains out. I was so stoked, and then flossed or whatever. No, it was like, yeah,
Or
that's
whatever.
good. That looks good. Yeah,
Hey, I'd play that.
yeah, that's exactly using that voice. I said that. Hey, I play that.
Hey, all right.
All right.
Hey,
You were so busy with that. Hopefully you caught the next thing that happened, which we got a little pan around of the console, which looked really nice. And they gave us a price. They gave us a price
Hey.
finally. We have prices, guys.
oh,
The PlayStation 5, the one with the physical disc, is going to cost $499, which
Mhm.
puts it in line with the Xbox Series X, which is also $499. And then the digital edition of the PlayStation 5, which does not have the disc tray, is going to be $399.
that is functionally identical. Otherwise, though.
As far as
I
they've
believe
said.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like tech-wise,
Mm-hmm.
it'll theoretically be more powerful than the Xbox Series S,
Mm-hmm.
which is $299. So the
Right.
Series S is cheaper
Mm-hmm.
by $100, but I think PlayStation 5 digital version. I'm trying to decide which one I want. Do you guys know what you want? Do you have to have the disc tray?
I have too much money. I'm getting the big ones.
You should get 2 of them and give one to me.
Okay.
Get rid of your money, man.
Okay.
I'll help you out.
Thank you.
You skipped over one little thing though, Reeves.
No, he didn't.
Our journey to the PlayStation 5 release date.
Oh, I was coming to that. I can talk
PlayStation
about that now if you want. What's that?
PlayStation Plus collection. You see that?
The stuff that's like coming, the backwards compatibility stuff?
Yeah, but it's like if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you get access to all these games, these PS4 games on your PS5. So I'm not going to read all of them because there's like 20 games here, but it's like Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, Days Gone, God of War, Last Guardian, Uncharted 4, Persona 5, and Last of Us Remastered, among twice as many more as that. So
okay.
if you're a PS Plus subscriber, you get PS4 Essentials at no additional cost, which is kind
So
of cool.
this
It's
is
Game Pass
something,
model.
yeah, I did not understand. So I thought they were just showing off backwards compatibility stuff, but this is stuff that you get if you're a PlayStation Plus subscribers. You get access to any of those games.
Yeah, it's just
Seems like it.
kind of like a Game Pass type thing, only for older games. Like it's not going to be like Game Pass where you get first party titles on day one, but like you get access to some of the greatest hits of PS4 at no additional cost, and you just download them. It's not like a PlayStation Now type thing where you just stream them. It's a download.
But I think,
Yeah, at the same time, there's some great games on there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know any of them. They're definitely
Days
worth
Gone.
it. What's up?
The game of the year, Days Gone.
Oh yeah, also Days Gone is on that list. Good point,
Yeah.
Cork.
I do think that's a step in the right direction for them because, if this is their dipping their toes into the Game Pass type of realm, you can't go wrong with Days Gone and Days Gone and Days Gone.
Yeah, Deacon St. Clair collection includes Days Gone.
Is it Deacon St. John?
Yep.
But I think it solves the problem of what PlayStation Now has struggled with in downloading games, which sounds like a duh, but like having that on your hard drive, I think is a really good step forward for them. And I'm curious to see if people take advantage of the system.
You got a release date for this thing?
No, they didn't say like if it's going to be available at launch or if there's going to be new games added in the future. All they said was titles will vary by region and not available in China.
Teeing that up for Reeves, the PlayStation 5 itself.
There is a release date for the console. Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, thank you.
November 12th.
November 12th.
In the US, Japan, Mexico, Australia, and South Korea, and then November 19th everywhere else, they say. So the 12th for us, at least, because we live in the US.
2 days after the X and S. That's bold.
It is very close. And also, like, the price, just go back to that. I don't know what you guys think about the price. It's interesting, maybe not that interesting that they tied the price point, the $499 price point. But then I thought that $299 price point for the S was like a big deal for Xbox. But now that the digital one's like only $100 more, I guess I feel like that's not as big of an advantage as it once was. Maybe that's just me, because like personally, if I want a new console, I want a PlayStation 5 because there's more game exclusives that I'm looking forward to playing on there. So that's the one I would want.
Yeah. I think there's still I think there's a marginal difference in the audiences. I think S would probably appeal. It would appeal to maybe like the families or the people who 4K gaming is not that big of a deal, but they still want to play like new games. But also at the same time too, like I can see a bunch of my friends going, I'm already spending $300. Might as well spend future proof and spend that $400. So I think you're onto something. I still think the S has some benefits to people, but you're right. It gets a little murkier now.
Or you could just have a ton of money like Cork and just buy everything.
Yeah.
That's the solution.
Yep.
All right. One more thing, guys. We got to wrap this up, but they had one more thing.
One more thing.
God of War, the new God of War game. I don't know what it's called yet, but they said Ragnarok is coming in 2021.
Yep.
So what do you think this game's going to be called? God of War Ragnarok?
Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. I can't wait. I usually try not to get super hyped on logo reveals, but there was something about that just tickled me the right way, and I didn't expect it to be 2021, and we'll see if that actually hits that, but that felt earlier than I was expecting. I don't know about you guys.
It does feel earlier.
Yeah, I was thinking 2022 at the earliest, but it's a pleasant surprise, and we're getting Horizon next year as well, right? So that it could be a huge year for PlayStation if all these dates stay in place, which, with how the world is right now, it's not a guarantee by any stretch.
Yeah.
Is it when the world is normal in the video game industry?
Because
they announced later that God of War 2, whatever it's going to be called, will be on PlayStation 4 also?
Did they?
No, will they?
Oh, I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm excited. I'm glad there's a new God of War game. On one level, it's like I knew they were going to make another one. Like that's just obvious. So this is almost a non-announcement, really, because all they showed was a logo. And I'm excited. At the same time, it just kind of feels like the marketing team was like, we need to end this show with like a big thing. What's the big thing we can end with? We'll tease God of War, because they didn't show off the game. And compare that to how they announced the last God of War game with like the big reveal of Kratos. Like that was such a big epic moment. So it's kind of sad we don't have something like that again with this.
Yeah,
true. I think
it's a nice announcement, but it's just announcement. It's almost a non-announcement, really.
Well, getting the year was the big one for me. Like knowing that it's coming somewhat soon was huge, because I was thinking we were still a couple years out.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And I think
we'll see. I would put money down that they delay this game, though. I honestly don't think it would come out next year.
I hope so, but
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not going to bet against you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right. Well, that was the PlayStation show. Overall, good show. What did you guys think?
Yeah.
Looking forward to getting my hands on some of those games.
I think it was probably the best of all of the reveal streams that we've had this summer. Like, it had the most surprises. It had the best quality of games for the most part. It had good pacing. They didn't dwell too long on any one game. And then, it ended with PlayStation 5 release date and price and God of War. So I don't know. It seemed that like as close to like the E3 press conferences of old that we're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool because we are less than 2 months away from new hardware now.
Yeah,
Which
officially.
is crazy that they announce price and date like 2 months before it's out. But hey, more power to them.
And it's great because I get rid of $1,000 that I just hate having around.
Oh,
Good riddance.
Get out of here, money.
Bye-bye.
That's right.
You're not welcome
Because
here.
you're going to buy two. One for
I'm
me.
going to buy two. One for me and one for you. Console buddies.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being buds, guys. But can you get out of here? Because we're going to transition over to community emails. And I know you're busy and you got to go.
I want nothing more.
And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm Ben Reeves, joined by Alex here.
Hello.
Kind of a tiny crew, but this is all I could muster today for community emails. It's kind of sad, but
we got
Sony.
We got a lot of stuff. Emails. Let's do it.
We got a lot of questions. These are email questions that people write in, podcast@gameinformer.com. Alex and I are going to do our best to answer all these great emails. First email from Joel Cost from Newmarket, New Hampshire. He says, hey, did you guys hire two new editors recently? All of a sudden, I'm seeing new names pop in on the site, and I'm wondering, where's the spotlight to shine on them on the podcast? Well, Joel, you asked for it. So we're going to bring them in. Yeah, I think we did hire new people. And of course, this is a segment I like to call Leanna Gotta J Vito, baby. So please welcome Leanna Rupert and Jay Guisao. Oh
no. Truly one of your best intros of all time.
That was amazing.
Incredible.
Hey, I'll introduce you guys more in a bit too, but it is surprisingly hard to come up with some kind of headline that incorporates both your names.
Shocking. For what it's worth, I think you did a good job with what you had.
Yeah,
that was good.
Do you guys want to workshop it again real quick? Because I have alternatives.
Do whatever you want.
Are we retaking?
No, this is the podcast where we workshop our headline name. Lee Annie J now, which is supposed to be like any day now.
Okay.
No.
Wow.
Okay.
Going all J Leanna Knight.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Reaper what you Guisao.
I actually kind of like that one. I'm not gonna lie. I like that one. I think that's gold.
Yeah.
You'll Rupert the day you were born. Oh, the J you were born. I screwed that one up.
That wasn't bad either. That was pretty. These are ingenious. What?
If you would have nailed it, that would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been good. And then there's the final one is Rupert and Lerny about Jay.
Benjamin Reeves, everyone.
There you go. So those were our possible headline titles for this segment that, of course, is now known as Leanna Gotta J Vito, baby.
Yeah.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
Jay Guisao. How's it going?
Yes. How's it going, man?
Leanna Rupert.
Stoked to be here.
Nobody's ever going to forget your name now. That was the point of this whole thing. But we have some community emails we want to answer, but maybe to start, me and Alex can just grill you for a bit and find out a little bit about you because we want our community to know, what's your deal?
Yeah, like what the hell? First of all.
Who even are you people? How did you get here?
Yeah, honestly, like that's a good question. Like, so Jay, you want to start? Like, just what's your deal, man?
Sure,
Who the hell do you think you are?
I'll tell it like it is, man. So I was an intern last year. Some people might remember me. I was here from February to April. And that was a really good time. And I got to write a bunch of stuff. My first time being in the games journalism world. And now I'm back. You know, I got the the wonderful call from Reiner over the summer, just like, hey man, like, why don't you come on back? And I was like, sure, I'm not doing anything and I'm excited, so why not? So I'm
Call
here.
Like,
Say
was
that
he
again.
call? Did he chat with you for like 10 minutes? Just
Dude,
like, hey, what's going on? Or did he jump
Dude,
right
so
to
he
it?
texts me, right? He texts me. He's just like, hey, like, are you free for a call to catch up? And literally, I'm oblivious, right? I'm literally sitting there just like, sure, like, we're just going to talk Overwatch. And like, I guess anyone else would think like, no, like maybe you're getting offered an opportunity or something. But I really thought we were just going to talk games. And he calls me and I'm just like, hey man, you've been playing Overwatch? He's like, yeah, sure. Anyways, you want to like come work for Game Informer? And I was just like, what?
That's
like,
incredible.
okay, like,
Nah, man, I want to talk
I was just like,
Overwatch.
sure. Yeah, right. Like, what? No, dude, get out of here. Let's just talk Overwatch. But yeah, I mean, and here I am. I'm also in school right now, for game design at NYU. Their MFA program. So trying to balance both, but also enjoying both at the same time. So it's really been like a blessing, all in all.
Yeah, that's cool. And so you're based currently on the East Coast. And just
Yes.
for people watching, you're a part-time guy for us, but we definitely appreciate the help. And then Leanna, what's your excuse me. I'm getting choked up. This is emotional for me. Having new people on the podcast. What's your background? How did you end up here?
Long time coming, I think. I've been writing in games media for about 17 years now. Worked for CBS and a bunch of companies and kind of floated around a bit. I even used to freelance when I was active duty in a war zone. That was fun. Trying to
Really?
write about Xbox news when people are shooting.
Wow.
That was fun. But yeah, no,
I mean, I heard opening day for Skyrim was bad, but
it's insane, man. People really love Tamriel and they really need those sweet rolls. It's crazy. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm excited excited to be a part of it. I remember when I first realized like I wanted to work in games, was actually reading Game Informer magazine. So I was like, I'm going to do this and I need to like learn how to not be stupid so I could do this cuz I tend to be a scatterbrain. I was like, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get good and whatever and
is
yeah,
that really a
no.
requirement for working here? I hope
Is
not.
get good? Yeah, oh yeah,
No,
you have to,
not
like,
be
tattoo it
stupid.
on your forehead. But, yeah, no, I
What
love
was the
it.
article you read that made you want to work here? Do you remember?
God, I don't even remember. I remember it was because there was a couple of magazines at the time. There was one magazine called Button Bash that I used to work for, eventually, and that was one of the magazines too, and I just, like, kinda curled up in my room, and that was all I was reading about. Because my mom like, I've been a gamer since I was 3 years old. Like, my mom, she kinda used her spud for the extra life in Contra. And, that was kind of what I grew up on, and I didn't know, obviously as a kid, this is a fun thing, you don't think like, "I could make a job out of this," or, "I could do this for a living," and as I got older, I was like, "No, I actually can, like, I can write words good and stuff,
GUD good.
be
Yeah.
good, and,
Yeah, yeah.
it's good." So, yeah, and
You're
then,
hired.
yeah, and then hired. They put out a listing, I was like, "I'll shoot my shot." I was the editor-in-chief of Prima Games at the time, and I was like, "It's a dream come true. I'll shoot it and probably won't hear back. It's fine." And somehow Reiner was like, "Yeah, that's who we wanna go with." So thanks.
Well, that's
Did he
awesome.
call you too and say he wanted to talk Overwatch?
I mean,
Yeah.
That's how Jay and I, like, animains unite.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on, man.
All day. There's not enough of us, you know?
Yes, there's not.
Well, yeah, I want to know what you guys are into. Like, what are some of your favorite games? What expertise do you feel like you bring to the table here?
Sure. You want me to start that? I can
Go for it.
Yeah, man.
I'll go right ahead. I'll just hop right in, man. I started with like a lot of JRPGs and stuff like that. Like but recently, and this has been a surprise to me, that I actually ended up finding this out when I was interning last year, that I've really been into like competitive FPSs recently, and now I'm just kind of all in. So right now, I mean, it started with like Rainbow for me, like when I really wanted to get like competitive about things. Like I mean, I grew up on like Modern Warfare and all that stuff, but Rainbow Six Siege was like the first game I was like, oh man, like maybe I can play ranked and do well. And then it became Overwatch, and then it became Apex, and Apex has kind of been like the first game where like I can confidently say like, okay, like I've reached like the upper echelon of players, and like finally, like, whoa, I did it. So I should probably keep playing this game. So yeah, like I guess right now it's really been like FPSs, battle royales, Apex Legends all day, baby.
Who's your
All
main?
day, baby. Look me up. Who's my main? Watson. I'm the just let me insert myself here a little bit. I'm the number 60 Watson on Xbox. Feels good, baby.
Oh.
Wow, man.
Just-
Congrats.
Yeah,
Unreal.
man. Just out there, taking names, looking cool. Yeah, you know how it is.
Now that you're like a star player in Shooterland, as I call it, have you totally forsaken your JRPG roots? Do you still like those games?
No, I mean, I was a little late to it, but over the summer I played Persona 5 Royal. I played the original with my girlfriend back in college, but then I played Royal. I finally got to it, and I mean that kind of reinvigorated like that single player mentality. I mean, it's been unprecedented times, and sort of like when the pandemic like came through, I kind of fell back on I fell away from multiplayer games and started just playing games by myself again, and Persona was like that go-to, and I was like, you know what, like this is why I loved like JRPGs in the first place. So I'm slowly getting back into it. Apex is still calling my name, man, but I'm trying to get back into those single player games for sure.
Yeah. I don't know where you found the time for that while doing a master's program. Congrats, dude.
Thank you.
Good time management, apparently. Or maybe it's bad time
I'm
management.
trying.
Maybe you're failing your program. I don't know. Teacher.
Shh, don't say anything, man. What's going on, dude?
Leanna, what about you? What games are you into?
Right now, I've been married to Destiny 2. I even had to commemorate with a little ghost tattoo because I
Ooh,
don't
very
like
nice.
things, I obsess. But but my main passion though, and I think everybody kind of on day one in Game Informer knew this immediately because I immediately started talking about Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Got like 30 playthroughs of the trilogy, 19 playthroughs of the Dragon Age franchise
Wow.
because obsession. But
my gosh.
yeah,
Passion.
no,
Passion, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Passion. And but yeah, no, I'm like Jay, man. I am all about shooters. I love old, like especially like the beginning of Medal of Honor series. I love the original Call of
Mhm.
Duty. Like I'm actually really hyped for Black Ops Cold War because the ship to ship battles are like right up my alley. But I will always either alternate between a shooter or an RPG. Although I did get recently back into Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that has consumed my soul in ways that is probably not healthy. Like I think I played like 60 hours 2 weeks ago
Wow.
in 1 week. I took the week off for vacation, and that's all I did was just sit in my chair and just gorge on Star Warsy goodness. I never knew how good Siths were. I always did Jedi, but like my world has changed now with my Inquisitor. I'm like, this is amazing.
I'm curious, Leanna, does that game hold up still? Because it's a game that I've always wanted to get into and never did.
Oh yeah. I mean, at first glance, it probably like when you look at it originally, like you look at the graphics and they're dated. I mean, I think all BioWare games kind of age pretty badly in terms of graphics, but it's very immersive, especially for an online game. A lot of times, like online games, Destiny is really guilty of this too, and World of Warcraft, as much as I love it, but it starts the story right off the bat. So, like, I feel like because of that gripping, it kind of makes it a little bit easier to ignore the graphics. And then also, they've done a lot of updates too. Like, it looks pretty. I just go into it expecting like a Clone Wars type of experience because that's what it's comparable to in
Okay.
terms of what it looks like. But yeah, definitely play it.
Mm,
Go
okay.
Sith.
So you're a big fan of games with services, it sounds like.
I am
Ongoing content.
I'm the worst person. I am the reason why loot boxes are such a big deal because I am the biggest sucker. I don't even want to talk about how much money I spent when I was in Guild Wars 2.
Hallelujah. Amen.
That was terrible. I don't know how I still have a marriage. I was spending so much money.
Why do that to yourself? Yeah. Or your bank account, really.
I have no self-esteem apparently. Like, that's my transmog, cosmetics, mounts. I was like making it rain.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, if I ever
I'm
need
not
a
ashamed.
loan, I know who to ask. Yeah.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not proud.
Well, hey, Leanna and Jay, it's great having you on. Thank you for being here. Do you guys want to answer some community email questions? We have people that write in podcast@gameinformer.com. They ask us all kinds of questions. and this is your first chance to answer them.
Let's
Absolutely, let's do it.
I'm glad you said yes, because if you said no,
There's
I
no other
don't know
option.
what I would have done. Yeah.
do it. Back to being a 2-man podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Well, we got an email here from Esteban from Chile. He writes in, he says, or Esteban, I probably mispronounced the name.
Esteban.
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 You don't know him. You don't know how he pronounces his name.
We'll call him E. What up, E?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Esteban.
Steve.
But yeah, there you go. Anyway, he writes in, he says, in this generation, we saw a lot of games that employ some sort of morality system, with the basic most concept being like good versus evil. While I enjoy being given the choice to play my character in a certain way, one thing has always bugged me when I play games like this, because I like to play as the good choices for the whole game, but then near the end of the game still offers me the choice to kill a random civilian. Does this make sense so far? So he says he plays the whole game, he gets to the end of the game, and the game is still offering him choices, good or bad. He says, I feel like the game isn't really respecting my choices because that's not really something my character would do. So do you guys prefer having the freedom to make good and evil choices at any time, or would you rather choices were presented to you in a way that reflected the way you had played that character so far?
You guess first. Liana, do you want to start?
I'll take it. Okay. I can see where you're coming from. Definitely. When you spend entire time crafting a narrative into a certain direction, you want to see that narrative progress organically, like with your choices. But I feel like there would be a little bit of a design element that might be a little bit trickier, especially the more open-ended you make the games. I feel like, not to always bring it back to Mass Effect, but I felt like Mass Effect did a really good job, because if you didn't have they had Paragon, which is good, Renegade is bad. And if you didn't have enough Renegade points, you actually lost out on the ability to make those types of choices. So like if you didn't have, people would die. There were mainstay characters that would die if you didn't have X amount of Paragon or X amount of Renegade. So I feel like that's a little
Are
bit
you
more
sure you
tailored.
know how that game works?
No. What's Mass Effect? Is that
I
type of
don't know, man. I don't think I trust you on this.
But I feel like they kind of Bioware kind of crafted that in a way that if that's what you're looking for and you haven't looked into like Dragon Age or even Neverwinter, things like that, I feel like that would be the more tailored experience you're looking for. But I don't mind, because I usually tend to play the good guy, but I will always punch the reporter in Mass Effect. I will always mock people in Dragon Age. I will always steal the sweet roll in Skyrim. Like I don't mind making those naughty choices every once in a while. And it kind of freshens it up a little bit, in my opinion.
Chaotic good.
Chaotic good, man, all the way.
Yeah.
There is something to the story too about the guy or gal who like is just goody two shoes and goes through the story, and then something in them breaks near the end. I think you can tell that story well and make it interesting. And so like having those options even late in the game are kind of nice.
Everybody has a breaking point.
But yeah, it is hard. It's harder for the developer to always keep track of every choice that you make and have your later game choices reflect all of that. It's just harder. So it makes sense that they can't tailor that every time.
For sure. And I think that's more, I mean, not that these games are representative of real life, but in real life, you could, donate blood and be at a homeless shelter your entire life, but you could also still make a bad there's no limit to making a bad choice even after living a life of good or evil, vice versa. So I kind of like having that freedom to punch the reporter, to maybe go a little rogue, if depending on the day or the year. So I think I think I like when games give me that freedom, for sure.
I did not see that comment going that direction. I'll be honest. Like when you started it, I was like, "Whoa, this is heavy."
I'm in a weird place right now, man. Life is heavy.
But yeah, I think you all make some really good points. I mean, like what's wild about it too is that literally, like right before I got into work today, like I was in a class where we were talking about morality in video games, and they like had mentioned Mass Effect and how like based on like some data, the Renegade path was like the people who had chosen the Renegade path were like pretty negligible. How like people naturally sort of choose like the Paragon path or the good path when it comes to video games. But I mean, I think you all do make a pretty good point about like the idea that you can shift like whatever side you sway towards at like any time just naturally. So maybe seeing that reflected in the game as well is pretty important too. Like it gives you that sense of freedom. Like, okay, like I've been good, but I'm getting a little bored of being good now, so I can be bad whenever I want, kind of thing. So yeah.
That's good. Cool. Next email. Brian Wright writes in. He says, "Hey, make my dreams come true." You guys want to do that?
Oh yeah,
He
always.
says, "Hello, GI crew. You are dreaming of being." He says you're dreaming of being an executive for EA. That's
So
cool.
Andy McNara.
Anyway,
yeah.
he says he has 3 game ideas. Apparently, you're dreaming of being an executive at EA, and that gives you the power to make choices for EA. So he wrote in 3 game ideas, and he wants us to pick one of them. So one of these game ideas will get greenlit, and the other 2 will not. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we have to reach a collective decision on like which one we're going to go for and which one we're not. Okay, so the first one is called Spartan 3. It's a third-person action co-op couch adventure. You play as Spartan 3 from the Halo universe. I don't know why EA is doing this. That's weird. Anyway,
Tough times at Microsoft.
we'll go with it. It's a dream. It makes sense. Yeah. So you're from the Halo universe, who's the last survivor of a suicide mission. It's an open world game, i.e., sort of crackdowny, with areas of the map that are controlled by different enemy factions from the Halo universe. You can pick up any enemy weapon, drive and fly any of the vehicles, and you eliminate the sub bosses in the area to gain control of widen the map out. It's a level up RPG style. You can call in airstrikes like ODST, yada, 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 and it has a nemesis system from Shadow of War. So that's option 1. Option 2 is a Starship Troopers game. It's an RTS multiplayer game. I feel like with the RTS element, we probably already lost a lot of you guys, but it says, as the Sky Marshal, you have command over the Terran Federation's military, and you utilize the naval fleet and mobile infantry to take the galaxy back from the bugs. It's an RTS game, just like Star Wars Empires at War. That's an interesting callback. Space and ground combat. You fight brainwash infected Terrans as well as the bugs. So that's option 2. Got it?
I'm kind of feeling it.
Option 3, the final option, is a Hot Wheels road rage game. It's car combat, couch co-op, all of the unique and special editions of Hot Wheels cars in a car combat game a la Twisted Metal. So you can literally go to the car selection in any store. If you go to like a real store and they have Hot Wheels, you can go pick any of them, and they're all available for combat. The special cars will mirror their character abilities. So like if you pick a Thor one, like a Thor branded Hot Wheel one, it'll have like Thor powers,
all right,
for example. And then this is weird to me, but apparently there's some kind of story mode. There's also multiplayer and co-op. So that's the third option.
That one's wild.
That one's super weird to me. And I kind of like it just so it's so weird, even though I'm not at all really into car combat games. But maybe I could get into it. All you had to do was say Thor.
Yeah. Get that Toys to Life going.
What do you guys think?
Hot Wheels. I wasn't sold because I'm not a car person game. The last car game I've ever played was Cruisin' Worlds on N64. But then he had me at Twisted Metal because Twisted Metal was really cool. But I gotta say, I really like Spartan 3 just because I'm really obsessed with the Halo universe. And I like immediately, even though I know this is probably not where my mind was supposed to go, immediately my mind flashed to like Red vs. Blue. I was like, the amount of comedy potential. While like, because I don't know, especially with the suicide mission, like there were funny moments. Like, take this like super serious mission and then just make it stupidly hilarious with Red vs. Blue like writers. If you would have put that spin on it, Spartan 3 wins for me.
So you would pick this, but you would say, here's a note, you have to make it a comedy game?
You have to make it, you have to make it the dumb college humor that we love from Red vs. Blue.
Let's just have Caboose be the star of it then.
Yes!
As somebody,
Be the star.
as somebody who's in college, Jason, what do you think of that? Are you offended?
Wow. I honestly, I would want Spartan 3 too, but honestly, for the opposite reason, I'd probably want it to be super serious. I'm sorry. I'm that guy, man. I'm the buzz killer. Um, that's
Is there a way
me.
to meet in the
I
middle and do
trusted
kind of?
you.
Never. We're executives out here, man. We're cutthroat. It's a yes or a no. There's no maybes out here.
Well,
Like,
no, it's you have like a Marvel adventure, so Marvel like super serious like action, but it's also interspersed with a bunch of comedy. So like a Thor Ragnarok or something.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
not sure,
those
man.
witty one-liners.
I'm not sure. I'm already role playing, man. The minute you started with Spartan 3, like before you even got to what it was about, I was like, as an executive, does Spartan 1 and 2 do well? You know what I'm saying? Before you even told me like the backstory, that Spartan 3 wasn't even like the third game or something. I had to know if the first two did well, because if not, Spartan 3 is not worth it, man. It's just
Two
not worth
kinds of people.
But I'm already there, man. But no, I think Spartan 3 sounds cool. I love Halo. I like how serious Halo has at least gotten. I mean, when I went back and played the older ones, like the Bungie ones, like I mean, it was a relatively serious game, but I don't know. For me, at least, there was always something to poke fun at. But like now, like 343's Halo feels like really dramatic, and like they have like everything feels nostalgic. Like when you watch like the cinematic trailers and stuff, I kind of like the little, I don't know how to explain it, like that little Halo piano they do where it's like ding, like when they show or something. I love it, dude. Goosebumps everywhere. So I'm feeling it for Spartan 3, but serious, and that Halo piano everywhere, just everything you do every time.
Even when there's nothing even playing, just piano
during combat. That's it. It's just the ding, 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 and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Never, never anything else. Yeah.
Your note for 343 as an EA executive is more piano.
More piano, more cowbell, all of that.
less caboose.
We'll slide him in as an Easter egg.
Is it safe to say you're on board with this Spartan game as well, Alex?
Oh,
Yes.
100%. I can't tell you how refreshing it is for me to be on a podcast and even mention like the first letter of Halo and not be like torn to pieces about it. So I'm happy I have Halo people here with me now.
My guy.
Yeah, I love the idea of, because Crackdown and oh my god, I want it so bad. Can I have that?
I feel like this is really important for this conversation.
For the audio listeners, she's holding a needler that's the size, that's bigger than our heads. Like,
yeah, it's like huge. The size of her torso on it. Yeah. Are you just like a miniature person? Are you like super tiny, or is that thing just gigantic?
This thing is pretty massive, I'm not gonna lie. But I do have like baby hands, so everything looks a lot bigger.
That's incredible.
Sweet.
The Twisted Metal Hot Wheels games sound really interesting to me too, but the idea of doing an ODST style game in a Crackdown space where you're facing off against factions of brutes and elites sound amazing to me. And I think you could tell, I honestly think you could tell really great stories both on a serious ODST reach level, but I agree with Liana. It would be cool to have kind of a slapstick, like, you know, opposite side of that. Like, you know, that's also, to your point, Ben, maybe is the Marvel kind of ideal. You know, that's not necessarily Halo to me, but I like it being an offshoot. I would really like that.
So as a gamer, which I'm a gamer, guys, I like this Hot Wheels game just because it's so super weird and I kind of want to see it. It sounds like a weird indie game with a Hot Wheels license for some reason. So I really do like that option. But as an EA executive, which I am in this scenario, I like money. I really like money. Yep. And I think that Spartan 3 one is just the best return on an investment, right? Because the Halo brand can't lose. So I do have one note as an executive. I would say add Hot Wheels to it. So that's
Get rid of the Warthog.
But I think we're in unison. Did they ever they made a Warthog Hot Wheel, right?
They did.
They had to have. There's no way.
Oh,
Liana, you want to pull it out right now?
I do have energy swords, but I don't have a Warthog. I need one. That's the next thing we need. But life size.
Yeah.
That was fun. I had fun with that.
Really yeah.
Cool. So Moving on, we've reached the part of the show where we like to rank some characters.
Yeah, buddy.
Time for GI's
Okay.
meaningless character rankings.
So many characters, find out where they go on Game Informer's arbitrary ranking show. It's science.
To recap the show for the audio listener, the part of the show where we like to rank characters in an ever-expanding master list of characters that feature basically every video game character ever made. So this is where you, the listener, write in with a list of your favorite 3 characters and we add them to our list. So the list currently, as it stands, is about 30 entries long. It's technically 29. Starts with Ellie from The Last of Us as number 1. Kratos is number 2. Way down at the bottom of the list, newly christened worst character of all time,
Can't believe it.
Ashley Graham from Resident Evil 4. Not a good character. And that's all the characters there are, right?
Yeah, we covered it. The whole thing.
I can't
No,
believe you
turns
have the
out-
audacity to cut off Commander Shepard. The audacity.
The audacity. Well, actually, Commander Shepard's number 3. Respectable showing.
Yes,
You guys ready to rank some characters?
let's do it.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
Let's do it.
So, our first and probably only list, this one is from Paul Chrismantis. I hope I said that name right.
It's a
Chrismantis.
dope last name.
It is a cool looking name.
I was
too.
going to say that too.
Yeah.
Chrismanitis. It could be that. So sorry, Paul. Anyway, he writes in. He says, "Here's some of the characters that I think you should rank that matter most." He says, "The best cowboy ever in a game, John Marston."
Ooh.
So
And we're
interesting.
numbering him. We're putting a number on him.
Yeah. So we have a list of characters. We're gonna slide him into our current list and figure out where he goes.
Mm.
What do you guys think about John Marston? Obviously, very iconic character.
Hmm.
I think just based on his presence in the first Red Dead Redemption, just very obviously stand out. I feel like after Red Dead Redemption 2, I like him even more personally
I was about to,
Really?
yeah.
because it was cool to see him when he was younger, a little less
Mhm.
capable. But you also got to see him grow a little bit and become,
Yeah.
the badass cowboy that he is, right?
I agree. I feel like
We
he
got to see
like
him build a house. He can build a house for goodness
Oh,
sake.
Yes, you
Great
can.
moment.
he's got
Good music.
skills. Arthur Morgan couldn't stand up to him. I felt bad, but the entire time I was
Oh,
playing
wow.
Red Dead 2, I was the whole time I was playing, I kept comparing him to Marston. And I don't know if it's just like a weird loyalty thing in my head, but I was like, this guy sucks.
That's-
He's not as cool.
Wow.
The whole time?
Spicy spice.
Wow.
And this is where people boycott this podcast. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, no, they left long ago. It's
honestly,
fine.
I'm afraid to refute. I'm just going to agree with you because I'm scared to disagree. The way you just like, this guy sucks. I guess he does.
I mean,
Wow.
he's not a bad character, but I don't know. Like, I feel like Marston just set a pedestal for bad cowboys, and like, you can't follow up with that. You could try, but you fail miserably, and you just look like a dum dum.
It's kind of fun because he's not like particularly handsome, I don't think. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like giant scar on his face. He's not like he's got a cool look and it's very interesting, but
He's got a
I
voice
wouldn't
that'll
want
make
to
you
look like that.
pregnant. He's got a
He's
voice.
got a
that
good
makes all
voice.
those ladies
Yeah.
pregnant.
Got a good voice.
Is that PG? I don't know.
Oh, I'm marking it down. No, you're good. This is what we want on the GI show. We want the fresh takes and the spice, and you're bringing it today. My lord, is anyone else sweating?
Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe the slander that was brought in against Arthur
Yeah.
Morgan.
I'm a little hurt.
I stand
Yeah.
by. I
I
stand
don't know where to go from that. I think I'm stunned. But yeah. Well, Arthur Morgan's actually
Yeah.
not on the list, so we
Yeah.
don't really need to compare the two either. So that was
I
kind of a
know.
freebie there.
where
but-
he belongs off the freaking list.
All right, hold on.
Wow.
We talked
Okay.
about
Wow.
sending dares into the show. Chat, or I always call him chat. Sorry, GI community. Put Arthur Morgan on the list. I want to debate Leon about this because I think Arthur's a
Literally.
stronger character. I personally, yeah, I
Me
do.
too.
Alex,
Me too.
Yeah, I
A2,
know,
Alex.
But
Has to be.
focusing on Marsden, yeah, I think his growth is some of the best in games, especially when you string together 1 and 2. I think he is I'd say top 7, top 8. I'd put him in that list.
I was going to put him. I think he could be top 3 personally. I would put him above Samus.
I would put him above
number 4.
Samus.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I put him above Chun-Li.
He definitely above Chun-Li. I think it depends what we're valuing here, because like as we lamented last week, Samus, whilst one of the most iconic characters for good reason, is blank when it comes to personality a ton. You know what I mean? Whereas because that's just not the games she was a part of.
Impact versus develop. Like, see, for me, like I think for me, 4, I like the spot for Samus, but that's purely off of impact, because as a girl growing up, and that surprise twist of she was a girl the whole time, like as like a 5-year-old little girl, that was dope. That was a really cool moment. But yeah, she doesn't really have the character development necessarily like Commander Shepard. Sorry.
I like that you're comparing other characters that have been ranked rather than the one we're supposed to be ranking.
Marston.
Yeah. Alrighty. So looking at this list, I think John, with what we talked about, slot in at number 4, take Samus' spot.
When my camera goes out.
Yeah. Don't say those things. I don't know. I think 4 is a good spot. What do you guys think, Jay?
I'm thinking that we're gonna push John in at 3 and move Shepard down to 4.
Over the Commander Shepard.
Traitor.
Man, I'm
Fem Shep.
Traitor.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to do it. And it's only because it's only because Shepard is sort of like this avatar character that players can like place their own morality and decisions onto. I guess without players, Commander Shepard wouldn't be as cool, if that makes any sense. Like Commander Shepard doesn't function as well without the player, but like Marston is kind of like his own character within his own like determined story. And you're kind of just, running the motions through that story. And I think that's the only real difference for me, that like Shepard's like this avatar character and John is like this more concrete character that kind of pre-exists without like player choice. That makes any sense.
Wow.
Liana, do you have a rebuttal?
I will give you that if that's the metric. I'll say, because he does have, or she, whatever one you do, has 3 presets, and then you go from there. But I will say this. If you look at it from a main scale, Commander Shepard Full Renegade and Commander Shepard Paragon Full Paragon are 2 very different characters. Like,
True enough.
Apples and oranges. But like you said, James Marston is predetermined. It's already fully fleshed out. If you're looking to experience a character for who they are organically, I can see you're wrong, but you're entitled to your wrong opinion.
Whoa. Dude.
I'm kidding. I don't know. I definitely I could see it. Especially I feel like Paragon isn't necessarily as fun to play as Renegade, but I only did Full Renegade once and it was really hard to do.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I think Marston would be, for me, he would be
No, Morgan.
5.
We'll get to that in another episode.
I thought Morgan would be like 1,000.
Yeah. Jay, you wanna know what I think? You wanna know a little secret?
Please.
Oh, he's gonna put him at number 1.
I think you're exactly right on. I think I like him right above Commander Shepard.
Oh, my man.
Wow.
Let's go.
I'm so wounded. I don't know if I can recover.
Part of it is that. Part of it is like, I think just Marston has more nuance to him that Commander Shepard is kind of, and part of that is the Paragon Renegade thing, right? You're either like really good guy or really bad guy when you're playing Shepard. There's less room for that nuance. And like, I think Commander Shepard's great. Top 5 character for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Marsden is just a little bit more compelling because he feels like a real person.
Yeah.
Whereas Commander Shepard feels like an action hero.
He also wouldn't be who he was without the characters. Like, if you take away the romance options and the interactions with the shipmates, he's very one-dimensional. Like,
for sure.
True
characters make Shepard versus Marston is Marston because he's Marston.
Yeah. But that, to to quickly, I'm kind of on the honest side with this because I think video games are so great because they allow you to put yourself into shoes in a way most other mediums can't.
Mhm.
And I think Shepard is one of the best representations of that in the high like sci-fi fantasy that Star Wars created in most of us. And because of that, I think I value him just like, I know we're splitting hairs, but like, you know, in that spot above. But I'm not gonna lose sleep with if Marston's 3. So
As long as
But-
Shepard's in the top 5, especially because you can also choose FemShep because FemShep is boss. Jennifer
Yeah.
Hale did an amazing job.
Mhm.
100%. So
I mean, it
Okay.
feels like you guys are willing to concede, even though you agree that you're still right. Does that make sense?
yes.
Compromise.
Yeah.
We love you.
We call it science here. It seems like the science is really in.
Yes.
And
It depends on the metric. Are we like you were talking about earlier? Do we impact versus depth? Like it's the same thing. And player impact or
it all kind of
Science,
weighs
man.
in.
It's just
It all
science.
kind of weighs in.
it's
That's all we
hard.
do.
That's
Yeah.
really hard. They're two very different characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I'm
But-
terrible at
Pinnacles
ranking
and
characters.
yeah, that's why this is so fun. So okay.
John Marston slides in at number 3, right below Kratos and right above Commander Shepard from Mass Effect.
Go.
Finally
I hate
pushing
to see it.
Commander Shepard down the list.
Mm.
Finally.
I hate
Wow.
to see it. Next week,
All right.
guys. Justice.
No, right in. Arthur Morgan, number 3 spot coming at you.
All right. I feel like we've been discussing characters forever already, but we have 2 more to rank on Paul's list here. So these may or may not take as long, but second character on Paul's list, he says the best female character ever, spanning 3 decades plus 3 motion pictures. Yeah, that's right. Miss Laura Croft or Lara
Ooh.
Croft. How do you guys say it?
Is it Lara
It's
or
Lara.
Laura.
Laura?
It's Lara.
Lara.
It's
Okay,
Lara.
Lara.
It's
Okay.
Lara.
Or Lara. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Y'all!
We're not gamers. What?
We're gonna have to do a podcast just on the pronunciation of Lara.
You would have not liked Andy Mack's pronunciation. He was just all over the board with those things. So
Megan
Miss
Marie
Croft,
used to work for Game Informer. Now she's
Mhm.
she works for Crystal Dynamics. She was there for a long time. She was a community manager for Tomb Raider. Now she's working on the Avengers. I think she's doing everything over there. Actually, I think she's CEO or something. I don't know. I haven't kept in touch in a while. But yeah, she said she got in trouble when she first started working there because everyone was like cracking down on how you pronounce that name.
How did they
Yeah,
say to
but
pronounce it?
Oh, well, clearly I have no idea. I have no idea how it's pronounced. I think it's Lara, right?
I thought it
Oh.
was Laura.
The worst are the
'Cause
people
there's
that
no
say
U.
Laura and then they actually
not
spell it Laura
Laura.
too, or it's like that kills me every time.
That's rough.
That
yeah. See,
destroys me.
I may be ignorant on the pronunciation, but I always spell it right. Lara.
Oh, kills
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, it's easy to spell. That's the thing.
So her character.
So anyway, he says, according to Paul, she's number 1 character, number 1 female character of all time.
That would
Which
make her number 1 on
Would
our
make her
list.
the new number 1 because Ellie is
Yeah.
already on the top of the list. So I don't know how you guys feel. Our number 2 female is Commander Shepard, depending on how you cut it, or
Mhm.
Samus below her. I kind of inclined to put her below all of those personally.
Yeah.
Although to back up, love Laura. I have great fondness for the Tomb Raider series. Great fondness. I feel like for the first, he said she's been around for 3 decades. I think the first decade was kind of embarrassing that was like the most popular female character, right? Because the reason
Mhm.
she was popular was for her physique,
Mhm.
which was all polygons and didn't even really look like a person, but neither here nor there. But it is
Triangle
interesting that
titties.
this is the character that broke out and like had a bunch of movies. And like if you ask people my parents' age for video game characters, it's likely they could list off Lara Croft. Like that's one of the video game characters they know. So in terms of popularity, she's way up there.
And she's on GI's Rushmore, Mount Rushmore. I'm pretty sure when we
Yeah?
when we did it in the podcast, I'm pretty sure she made it. It's hard because she is. There is the iconic nature. There is the I think some really amazing stories told with her, especially when Crystal Dynamics
Mhm.
did their newest run with her. I don't know if she strikes the impact that Ellie's had on me, for example. Like but it's hard because she's never meant to be that kind of character, you know? I think her games are probably more fun than something like The Last of Us, but just like I think
Really,
Last
you
of
think
Us
the
being
Tomb
one
Raider
of those-
games are more fun than Last of Us?
because I wouldn't classify Last of Us like Last of Us 2 had very satisfying gameplay, but some of that was not fun. Like, you know, and I'm a big scaredy cat, so like when
my God, me too.
but when the stalkers were out in that game, I was like, this isn't fun. Like I'm pooping my pants. Like I hate this. So I guess with the brutality of what that game is, I don't know if I would always consider it fun. Whereas the Tomb Raider game, well, but the later Tomb Raider games have those brutal death sequences, but I think the platforming in those are still so good, you know?
Yeah.
I would like to put her above Chun-Li. I don't she's an iconic character. I love her comics too. If anybody is watching and hasn't read the comics, the comic art, Gail Simone did a great job with that character. She did absolutely amazing, and it provides a lot of nuance to the character that kind of got lost a little bit, especially in the earlier games.
Yeah. That's fair. To be fair though, and I know you're new here, so but we are only ranking their appearances in video games too. So we don't count, even though she's been in movies, she's been in comics, we try not to count that stuff. It's just video game stuff.
Yeah, I feel like to me, and this is gonna spicy, I guess, maybe, but her and Nathan Drake to me are synonymous. So like for one to be ranked above the other in my head doesn't really make sense. So for her to be the number one wouldn't make sense because that's 2 for 1 type characters. And I feel like for me, Ellie was a character that we don't really get to see a lot in games as a female. Like, you know, that's why a lot of people had a hard time stomaching her in 2 too, because we're not used to seeing women with that level of violence and anger and without making it sexy and fun. And oh my God, it's a vengeance story. Oh la la. Like she was she was angry and she didn't care if her hair was a mess. It wasn't about that. She was angry, she was bitter, she was there was a lot more to that character in terms of depth, even though she obviously doesn't have the legacy that Lara Croft has, or just Croft. We want to save the discourse, but like, I feel like in terms of legacy, despite Ellie having a shorter timeline in the gaming space, had a much greater impact because her character is a rarity, especially in terms of women in gaming.
Yeah, I think we all agree that she's below Ellie, which is fine. You said above Chun-Li. I'm almost inclined to go below that, even like below Snake and below Gladys, and slide maybe above Ganon.
I just can't have him below Big Daddy. That was kind of my stopping point, was Big Daddy.
Really?
That's fair.
Big Daddy's cool.
I think that's my shame put on the list because everyone who goes on this laments Big Daddy. Maybe I need to reassess my life because that was my addition.
I like Big Daddy.
Yeah.
I think, although I need next week for people to like really start pushing for Dragon Age, because the fact that Alistair and Zephyron and Lilian, none of those characters are on this list is criminal.
I mean, yeah, we're also missing like Mario too. Like,
we have Luigi.
Yeah, we got Luigi.
Also my doing. Yeah. Jay, what do you think?
You know what? I'm going to be that guy, and I'm going to put Lara right between Pokemon and Chibi-Robo.
Okay.
Wow.
It's way down on the list. You're going like
it's
number
way
14.
down. It's way down, man. It's down there. I just I feel bad too. I think Lara is really cool. I think I'm thinking at it from like a personal like iconic comparison, and it just personally like, you know, Pokemon and Mario, you know, Ganon, like I don't know, like when I think of the characters for Pokemon in those games, I don't know. I feel like it's weird putting Lara above Pokemon. I don't know. I think I'm just thinking about like the impact of Pokemon. Like that's the first thing I see. And I'm just like, can we really put Lara above Pokemon? Like,
if it makes you easier, I think the list is goofed and it's actually Pikachu.
I think that's supposed to be
spot.
Pikachu. That is.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was kind of wondering about that. Like,
Yeah.
all of this is
Yes.
specific characters and then just
Pokemon is not a
That's literally why
character.
I was
Yeah.
like characters. I was like,
So
you
I don't
know,
know if that changes it for you.
okay,
But yeah,
okay.
we're running out of time, so we're gonna have to make a decision here. Alex, did you say what you wanted?
Mm.
I'm thinking. I think above Chun-Li at the number 5 spot is a good spot for her. But Ben, what's the science telling you?
Well, so does that change your opinion there, Jay? If it
Yeah.
was Pikachu, would you move her above Pikachu?
Yeah, I would move her above Pikachu. I'm sorry. I thought it was just Pokemon, like all of them, like together.
Yeah,
So
that'd be
you're
number 1.
thinking- I don't know how far. I don't know how far up you're willing to move. I still kind of like the number 9 spot. You
That's a
guys
good
like the number 6 spot.
I'd be willing to go for like number 8.
Meet in the middle
Meet in the
above
middle.
Gladys.
Oh, not above Gladys, below Gladys.
No,
Gladys was
yeah.
iconic.
Well, what? That's what I had originally said.
Oh, sorry.
So number 7.
I mean, yes,
No.
I agree.
Oh, you like number 9 then? Right below Gladys, right above Ganon.
Yes.
I think the science is spoken, everybody.
Science is
It
spoken.
is science.
All right, we are definitely running out of time here, but I'd love to finish off Paul's list. Do you think we can rank the best villain ever really quickly?
No, but let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
All right, the best shot we can do. Number 2, 2 minutes. Let's see if we can do it in 2 minutes. Best villain ever, Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII.
Oh boy.
First video game crush
Oof.
ever. Love the silver haired boy. He's number 1.
Number 1.
Whoa.
Sorry,
He's,
I peeked.
Whoa.
he's the
That
reason
last
I
movie
have
peak.
my hair. Well, I have to hear everybody else yet, but for right
You were
now,
bald before Sephiroth?
yes, I was. It was hair transplant, just in honor of the leather big stabby boy.
Okay, so
I'm
Sephiroth
I'm never
for
going to be
me.
invited back.
Oh no, this is exactly what we want from this list. I think there's a case to be made for him as the best villain ever. He is relatively new to me because I never played Final Fantasy VII until the remake. But I can understand like the love for him, so I would be okay putting him at. I don't think 1. I can't give you 1. I don't know. Like I would put him. I don't know if I'd unseat Gladys for him. Maybe 7. Maybe unseat Gladys. I don't know. Jay, you go.
Okay, I'm gonna do put him between Samus and Chun-Li. I'm gonna do I think that might be
You're thinking of
solid.
number 6. I was kind of looking around that area too, because here's Sephiroth, undeniably cool sword, right? Which necessarily isn't part of his character. Well, it's kind of
He's
part of
Got
his
that
character,
booty,
right?
too.
The accoutrement. He's got a cool look. He has very 90s hair. I don't know if that hairstyle works as well. It looks good on you, Leanna, but
Thanks.
like for a villain, I don't know, just something about it feels kind of dated to me now. But cool song. Amazing song. Again, I don't know if this is classified as his character, but
I was gonna
like,
say,
those
is
are
he
the
like
things I
humming
think
it to
about.
himself?
That would be amazing. Oh my gosh.
If he's just slashing like do do do.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of a story that I don't think I have time to tell. But
Okay.
anyway, so all that to say, like, yeah, he's a great villain. That's why I kind of like looked at Gladys on our list, who's in number 8, who I also think is a great villain. I think Sephiroth is less funny, which is not a surprise, but maybe a little bit deeper and more. I don't know if it's more interesting is the right word. Maybe more menacing.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I
Definitely.
could go above Gladys, maybe above Snake, maybe above Chun-Li. I don't want to go above Samus.
Yeah, not above Samus for sure.
I'm down. He's like I said, he's new in my life. I'm sure I'll grow to appreciate him more, but I think I can't give you I don't think 1.
Yeah.
That is
Well-
pure. I will, for disclaimer, 1 is purely fandom. He was my first like video game. Like that was the game. Final Fantasy VII was the game that really solidified my love for RPGs. So like basically all of those characters have a very special place in my heart. So
For
that's pure bias on my part.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't go above 1 because Ellie gave me toenails. I didn't have toenails before. Ellie, that's a weird joke. Never mind. This isn't working. Okay, so we're thinking right above Chun-Li then. New number 6.
I'm down.
I think that sounds
I
good.
dig it.
Perfect. Wow. Those are some strong entries.
Yeah, for real.
Some real strong entries. I don't know if well, Sephiroth, I mean, yeah, he is the number 1 villain on our list right now. So maybe he's right about that. And John Marston's the number 1 cowboy on our list, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Till Arthur Morgan
Yes,
comes
sir.
strolling along.
That's true. We'll see what happens. next week.
It's
All right,
always
guys.
a damn train.
Thanks for writing in. We really appreciate it. If you want to write in characters or you want to ask us any other question, please write in podcast@GameInformer.com. We love reading those and answering the questions too. So now we've reached the part of our show where we get wrecked. So it's
Get
time
wrecked.
to recommend some stuff on Game Informer site and magazine. What do you guys have to recommend? Jay?
Sure. I'd recommend checking out the why season 6 of Apex Legends is so divisive. I think I wrote that last week. This new season hasn't been its best, but I still think like if you're not playing Apex Legends, man, you got to be playing some Apex Legends. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you get out there and play some Apex Legends. Get some wins for your boy. You know how it is.
Perfect.
Go get that dub.
Go get that dub, boys.
Alex, what about you?
This will be the first time I recommend a replay episode, but we did Alone in the Dark Illumination, and man, that's a rough game. But it kind of, and then we switched it over to the original Alone in the Dark had like a tie-in, like kind of like how you get demo discs in a magazine, basically, and it's called like Jack in the Dark, and it was just it. Why I'm recommending it is because it had an old replay feel of playing bad games and laughing about them and really talking about the game. Whereas I think we've kind of drifted into a little bit more like discussing the industry and stuff like that on replay when we do it live, which is cool too. But I think if you're a fan of old replay, I think this was a really fun one. So definitely go check that out.
Well, cool. And then Leanna, I know you've only been on staff a couple of days now, but it feels like you've already put some stuff on the site. Anything you want to recommend?
I got quite a few things. But yeah, no, actually, there's 2 things, if that's okay. One, there's an interview that you guys did with Jennifer Hale, who's Shepard, that I highly recommend because she is basically in every video game you can think of. And Jennifer Hale is one of the most talented women in the industry, and she is a powerhouse, and she's such a positive voice in the industry. So support her. And then the conversation that Game Informer had with her was incredible. And then the second thing is I actually wrote it up this morning, and I'm only plugging it because I'm interested to hear what the readers think. I'm interested. I'm a big PC gamer, and I love creating mods and doing mods, and it's something I'm really excited for. So I'm slowly starting to build a little niche on the site specifically about mods and mod recommendations, and maybe even some tutorials on how to get into modding. So we have a silly one about the little jelly beans from Fall Guys taking over Skyrim. So if you like it, check it out. And if you want to see more of that stuff, let me know, because I am definitely, that's something I'm passionate about. So
Awesome.
Very cool.
Well, thanks for being on the show, guys. Hopefully this is just the first of many to come. We'll definitely want to have you back. And thank you, the lovely listener, for watching or listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show. Please like and subscribe to the magazine. We love it all. Thanks again. Tune in next week. We'll have another one. Game on.